We got new movie review on this episode of Movie Breakdowns. I'm going to review the movie Cocainebear from 2023. The first half of the review will be non-spoilers, and the back half going to be spoilers. So let's go and get into it. But before I get started, I want to let you know, if the review you want me to do, please put in the comments below. I'll get to the best I can. Also at Patreon.com/Ali Zakka for $2 a month. Get your review cut in front of everybody else. Get out, wait for it to come on Facebook and YouTube. Now, let's go and get into today's episode of Cocainebear from 2023. What is this movie about? After a drug dealer's plane is about to crash, he decides to throw, hundreds of packages of cocaine out of a plane, and it's going to go down to into a forest, a wildlife forest, or I guess a national forest in Chattahoochee, Tennessee. I believe that's right, but that's where the packages land, and a bear, a 500-pound black bear, gets it and pretty much gets high off the drug. And this movie, this bear is going on a killer rampage of blood and cocaine, and pretty much just taking out anybody in his way. And you have a group of teenagers who skip school, a mother looking for her daughter, a police officer looking for the drug dealers who's looking for the drug, a bunch of punk teenagers who just want to cause fights, and a park ranger, all pretty much entangled each other in this story and facing the bear at one point or another. That is the plot of Cocainebear. This movie was directed by Elizabeth Banks, and it is written by Jimmy Warden. And for the most part, this movie is fine. It's an average movie. It's a horror movie mixing with some comedy and some thriller. Like, you're gonna see some horrific scenes of people getting body dismembered and pieces falling all over the place, legs chopped off. And then you get some comedy bits here and there. I saw this in theaters because it's in theaters right now. And the crowd I was with was really enjoying this movie. I didn't find that many jokes funny. The crowd popped for scenes where, like, somebody said, "Oh shoot," and something like that, and people just started laughing. So this crowd was really into this movie. As far as my experience go, I didn't find myself laughing as much as the movie was trying to get me to laugh, but parts or people's lines and things that was going on where scenes cut, and you're just like, wait a minute, wouldn't this just happen? Now we cut to this scene, or a character teleports to a place, a location that another two characters are taking a while to get to, and you're just like, how did this character get there before that character, and they was there a lot longer? Like, things that were like movie edits and stuff like that would make me laugh. I'm like, yeah, that was out of place. That was definitely done wrong. Or the line delivery by a character, or the way the line was written for a character would also maybe chuckle versus what the movie was trying to get me to do and laugh at itself. Like, anytime the bear was doing goofy stuff, I was just like, okay, cool. But the audience was popping when the bear was wiggling around, or the bear was doing something goofy out of nowhere. I was just like, okay, that's neat. The things that I did like, I would say there's a few actors and actresses standouts in this movie that really made the movie pop for me. Like Henry, the kid that played Henry, his line delivery sometimes made me laugh, but he was like one of the brightest characters in this movie. And then just O'Shea Jackson, just him being him, or O'Shea Jackson, I believe it's O'Shea Jackson, sorry. O'Shea Jackson Jr. I did not know he was a junior. But his line delivery and things he was doing in this movie made me chuckle, and just him being him. But those things I like. And then I did like the scene where you see in the trailer the bear chasing down the ambulance. That was a cool scene, and they slowed it down. But then there's things that happen in this movie where I'm just like, why did that happen? Why did this person do this? And for the most part, it's an average movie. It's a fun, average movie that I think if you're into horror, you're into comedy, and you like dark humor, you're going to enjoy this movie. If you're someone who's not into dark humor, not really into horror, and you might find yourself like, okay, it's cool, but it's not my style of movie. And I think this movie is really made for a particular kind of crowd. Things I didn't like, the bear CGI wasn't bad, but you definitely knew it was a CGI bear. Like, there was no time where they was using an actual prop, like not a real bear, because that's be crazy, but use a prop, prop bear, make it like a mechanical bear. No, it was 100% CGI, and it's definitely like stood out at times with the scene where you're watching characters and they do, messing around with the bear, and the bear's like, no, it's a CGI bear. This movie has a lot of notable people in it, like Thurmond from Game of Thrones in this movie, and that threw me through a loop. But he's a sidekick. Like actually, he's in the trailer too. He's in the trailer, so like it was a lot of notable people was in this movie that really was like, oh, you're in this too, huh? Cool. Another thing I didn't like was kind of like how the ending of the movie went. The ending of the movie, because I was wondering, how's this movie going to end? How are we going to end this movie? Like, are we going to get the one up on the bear, or what's going to happen? The bear's going to win. What's going to happen in this movie? Because it's like, it's a horror comedy, so I was curious how this movie's going to end. And they kind of shift. The villain of the movie is like just tossed in there, and it really threw me for a moment where I was like, yeah, this movie's not a solidified movie for me. And that's the thing why I made it like an average movie. It's like, it's not bad. It's a horror comedy. Like if you're going to go for horror, you're getting a horror out of this movie. If you're going to go for a little comedy, you get some comedy out of this movie. Like the movie does its job. It's just not. It's not best. It's not the worst. It's okay. Anything else I want to talk about before I get into cast and crew? Not really. I think not the pacing of the movie. The movie's an hour and 35 minutes long, and it felt like it was paced just right. It was done right. But I think just some of the plot points, the thing that was going on to kind of get the movie forward kind of was like a little off. Like characters, like I said, appeared in certain sections that, like, how did you get there? The characters just showed up there. Or characters kind of roll back around and you're like, okay, so you just been here the whole time? What have you been doing? So there's things in this movie that I'm like, all right. Or they're like, a scene is going on and they just take you out of that scene and go to another scene. You're like, wait a minute, what's going on? Wait, why don't you finish that scene first before you go to the next person? But they just cut to another scene. Maybe it's a budget of the movie so they couldn't focus on like the bear taking out the kid or taking out the teenager and then coming back and just like, and we get to see like what happened. You just come back and all of a sudden the bear's in a spot there. You're like, how did the bear get in there? I need to know this. So, and the bear was actually pretty smart in this movie. The bear was a smart bear. Like, it was doing mind games kind of stuff in this movie. But there's certain stuff like that in this movie where I'm like, so I just was going to expect this to happen. There's no explanation on how the bear get into this room, what happened while he was gone, kind of thing. There's like a random flashback at the end, like at one point in the movie, a random flashback happened. I was like, I couldn't show that, or maybe it was in there, but they needed to cut it out. Like, I don't know. It was just like things happen where you're just like, how did the character know how to get to this cave and whatnot? So those things, kind of, it's like, it's an okay movie. Okay, let's go get into cast, crew, and directing. So Cocainebear came out in 2023. It's rated R. It's an hour and 35 minutes. Elizabeth Banks is the one who directed this movie, and Jimmy Warden wrote this movie. The budget for this movie, if it's already on IMDb, is the budget's not here yet, so we'll find out what the budget is later. The cast and crew, you have Kerry Russell, who plays Sari. Sari, S-A-R-I, like Kari, but Sari. She was fine. Like, the character itself was just a mom looking for her daughter. The character was definitely one note. Like, most of the characters in this movie are one note. They're like, there's not really that much dimension to them. So she was looking for, her daughter. That was it. That was her job in this movie. Alden Ehrenreich, who played Eddie, who plays Solo, by the way, in the Han Solo movie, he was fine. His character was to help his friend find the drugs, but his dad was a drug lord. He didn't really want to follow his dad's footsteps and kind of want to take care of his kids, so that was his whole thing. But he was fine. O'Shea Jackson Jr., who played David, D-A-V-E-E-D. They didn't even say the character's name that much in this movie. Now I think about it, like, I'm just calling the character by their actual name. I was like, that's Ice Cube's Jr., that's Ice Cube's son. But he was fine too. He was probably like one of the stronger characters in this movie, that if anything was believed to take out the bear, he'd be one of the guys to do so. But he was fine. Like, his motivation was to get the drugs. Ray Liotta, who plays Sid, his motivation was to get the drugs. He was fine as well. He comes up like more later in the movie. Isaiah Whitlock Jr., who played Bob, he was probably one of the best characters in this movie. His job was to stop the drug dealers. That was his goal in this movie. And a scene happened where he got on top of a platform and didn't figure out how to get down. I thought it was a pretty funny scene, but he was fine. Brooklyn Prince, who played Dee Dee, she was okay. She was the kid who wanted to go paint a waterfall and get out and left school. She played hooky, and she got, interact with the bear, and the mom to go find her. Christian Convery, who played Henry, he was also one of the bright spots of this movie to me as well. His line delivery wasn't the best in some scenes. I think the way the lines were written for him wasn't the best. But as far as the way his inflection goes, I thought he was fine. I thought his character and his charisma added a little more to the movie for me. That I got a kick out of him on screen. Margot Martindale, who played Ranger Liz, she was fine. And Christopher Haju, who from Game of Thrones, he was okay. Like, it was fine. They was fine. Any other thoughts? Nah, not really. The music of this movie was 1985's music at first, and it turned into like an actual movie score music, like actual like instrumentals, like deep action-packed movie cinema movie music. It was fine. The music was fine. The CGI for the bears were okay. Wasn't the best. The setting is a good setting to have for like a horror kind of vibe, like a nature park, wildlife, national park where everybody's trying to figure out their own goals and there's bears running around attacking people. That was fine. That's pretty much it. Is it a Friday night movie? Nah, not really. And grade time. I'm going to grade Cocainebear from 2023. I'm going to give this movie a C-, a 70%. To me, it's not the worst movie out there. It's not the best movie out there. If you're going for horror, comedy, you're going to get it out of this movie. You're going to find some stuff in here. If you're looking for people getting disemboweled and everything, that's kind of dark humor you like, this movie's right up your alley. It's not the best movie out there. It's not the worst. Some line deliveries from characters are not the best. The character development in this movie is not the best as well. It's one, a lot of characters are one note. It's a fine movie. It's come in, get your slasher, horror, and comedy, and you're good to go. IMDb gives this movie a 6.5 out of 10. That is a D, solid D. And Rotten Tomatoes gives this movie a 71%. That's a critic score, which is a C-, and the audience gives it a 74%, which is a C. So I'm right there with the rest of the audience and critics when it comes to this movie. And if you've seen Cocainebear, what did you think? Please put in the comment section below. Other than that, see you guys next episode of Movie Breakdowns. Let's go and get into the spoiler section in 3, 2, 1. The spoilers might not be that much for this movie, but pretty much the things I want to talk about is when it comes to this movie being spoiled, it's like some of the action sequences in this movie like just cut, or they don't show you everything that's going on. Like they show the characters getting dragged into the forest kind of things. Like other scary movie tropes, you get a little bit of shaky cam in this movie. But there's a scene where the park ranger was trying to fight the bear in the park office, and the bear comes in, like it goes on top of the roof, and then it comes down the roof, and all of a sudden it breaks through the glass and grabs one of the teenagers like faces, and then it cuts to like whatever Sorry, or I guess Kerry Russell and Henry was doing, and I was like, why did it cut? Why did the movie just cut like that? And then it cuts back like 2 scenes later, or it cuts to Ice Cube's son and Eddie doing something. You're just like, wait, what's going on? Why would you just leave that scene alone? And then we come back to it, and then the bear apparently is in an office room by itself. We don't know how it gets in there. It locks the door and doesn't come out. Like if it gets that the park ranger's there, the only reason the bear comes back out is because when the ambulance attendees come in and paramedic shows up, and the bear's like, oh, the door's open. I guess I'll walk on out. Like, why didn't the bear walk out before? How did the bear get in there? There's things in this movie that this movie does where you're like, I need more explanation. For example, how did everybody know where the cave was at the bear was in? I understand how Kerry Russell's character found the cave and Christian's character found the cave was because, Dee Dee lets let a bunch of kind of like signs and clues for them to find her, but all of a sudden, you know, Ray Liotta's character finds it, and you're like, how did, you know, O'Shea Jackson find it, like, and Eddie find it? It makes no sense. Also, the whole thing where, like, Ray Liotta becomes the bad guy by the end of the movie. Granted, he was a dude who was kind of bad guy throughout the whole movie, but, like, he becomes the big bad at the end of the movie, and he's the one who kind of, you know, you get the cheer clap when he dies in the movie, but you're like, I don't care about him. They try to say he's bad by just exposition that he's a bad guy, but in reality, you're like, all right, sure, he's fighting baby cubs and kicking cubs, and people are like, oh no, not the baby cub, because Mama Bear, the Cocainebear is a mama bear. So her kids also got into the drugs, and they're like playing around and being goofy, and they're being harmless, and the bear comes back and fights Ray Liotta's character, and you're just like, all right, so the bear is not the big bad that we thought the bear was going to be, so sure, fine. All right, so this is how this movie's going to end, and they make a mention of the cliff, like, man, don't drop down that cliff, but then the character jumped down the cliff anyway, and perfectly fine. It's just kind of like a movie where it was literally just for go watch popcorn flick. Don't put too much stock into this movie. That's kind of thing is because there's things in this movie exposition wise, transition wise. You're just like, this doesn't make sense. All right, the bad guy is Ray Liotta. Is not the Cocainebear that was hunting down people earlier. Matter of fact, the bear is a good guy. And we're all put the cheer the bear at the end of the movie. Like, why? I don't know. That's my thought process on Cocainebear. And that's pretty much it when it comes to spoilers. There are 2 after credit scenes. They're fine. O'Shea Jackson Jr. and Isaiah Whitlock Jr. is on the bright spots of this movie. Isaiah Whitlock is having an issue where he is, you know, has a puppy dog, and he's trying to take care of the dog, and then all of a sudden has a moment with the dog, but then he dies in the movie. But he's a cool character. And Christian Convery, he's a fun character. Like, those 3 to me stood out the most in this movie. I think they shine the most of a movie where, like, characters are one note and giving a lot of exposition. So yeah, it was an okay movie. The scene where Christian's in the tree and the bear jumps down and like hops over to Jesse Tyler Ferguson character who's in this movie, hops down to him. He plays a Modern Family. Hops up to him and attacks him in the tree, and you're just like, what? Okay, sure. Like, why the bear moving so quick when it took so long to catch Christian? He was like, oh, wait a minute, I smelled this, and hop down and run over. Pretty much the bear was trying to get his next high, and at the end of the day, like, all the characters, like, the mom and the kids all survive. O'Shea Jackson and Eddie survives. Like, it's fine. All these characters fine. Like, they survive. Like, it's okay. That's it pretty much for the spoilers. If you guys seen Cocainebear, what did you think? Please put in the comment section below when it comes to spoilers. See you guys in the next episode movie breakdowns, and keep being awesome. Thank you so much for making it to the end of this video. I really appreciate that. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. If there's a review you want me to watch or do, let me know. Please put it in the comment section below this video. Also, you want to watch the last episode movie breakdowns, it's right there. Just gotta click on it and you'll be able to watch it. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. Love y'all, and keep being awesome.